Do you think that working from home with your kids around is a complete myth? I have got 7 years of wisdom and really crazy stories to share with you today to prove otherwise. Hey there, fellow work-at-home moms. Thanks for joining me here at the Mom Desk Club. My name is Laurel, and I am really excited to jump in today and share some nuggets of wisdom that I have learned over the last 7 years of being a work-at-home mom. 5 kids, almost 5 kids later, and some really crazy times. It's made for quite the ride, but I'm really glad to be able to share that with you. Hopefully encourage you that it's not as crazy as it sounds. It's totally worth it. And it can be a lot of fun. And trust me, it has been quite the adventure. All right, before we dive into 3 of my favorite tips for how to keep your crazy in check as a work-at-home mom, I just want to talk to you a little bit about the reality or even maybe what could be scaring you from being a work-at-home mom. I was recently in a Facebook group where somebody asked, is it actually really possible to give 100% of yourself to your child and 100% of yourself to your career? And the truth is no, of course it's not. But can you actually give me a time when you've given 100% of yourself to your child or 100% of yourself to your career for a long period of time? That's actually a really difficult thing to expect out of people, and I don't think it's very realistic. So let's take a step back and just recognize that that's like a really, really arrogant stance to think that you're actually going to be able to give 100% of yourself to your child and that's acceptable. That's not a standard that we're going to be able to meet. Instead, let's recognize that being able to split yourself up amongst your job and your child is good for both activities. Now, I realize that some people could probably argue with that, but if your child knows that you're always there when they need them, but they might have to be patient and wait for a minute while you finish a phone call or an email or while you're on a train of thought, don't you think that could teach them how to be patient or how to be kind and considerate for somebody else instead of only selfishly looking at things from their own perspective and needing you 24/7 when they want you all the time? I think it's probably a pretty good deal. On the work side of things, how many employees do you actually know who give themselves to their work 100% of the time for the full 8 hours a day? Let's be real. Water cooler jokes came around on purpose because nobody's doing that. There's nobody giving 100% of their job 100% of the time for the entire time that they're clocked in. It's not possible. It's not humanly possible. But as a work-at-home mom, one of the tips and strategies that I have learned is how to get something done really, really quickly. Not poorly, not badly, but quickly. We're not wasting time. You could spend 3 hours working on a project, or you could realize that those 3 hours were actually incredibly wasteful and that you got distracted or you were working on something else in that time, or it just wasn't a highly effective use of your time. And as a work-at-home mom, you tend to get that stuff done really, really quickly because you have to. You've got a short window. I've got like this much of a window before somebody is going to wake up from their nap and come out here and start making a lot of noise. So my window of time is not very big, but I'm going to cram a lot of stuff into that short window of time because that's what we do. So I would like to argue that, I don't like arguing, but I would like to put forth the thought that just because you can't give 100% of yourself to your child and your job at the same time does not disqualify being a work-at-home mom from being a really great opportunity, both for you and for your kid. And let's be real, it's a great opportunity for your boss as well if they have an open mind and are willing to consider it as a blessing and a really great opportunity. They might not be. And in that case, it's time to move on and find something different. So if you're one of the moms who has always wanted to work from home, but you just didn't think it was possible, I just want you to know that you don't have to let that stand in the middle of you pursuing your goals and your dreams. Just because you haven't seen it done doesn't mean it's not being done and doesn't mean it can't be done. Okay, now that we've got that out of the way, let's dive into a little bit of mompreneurial magic, things that I've learned along the way, things that make it a little bit easier to be a work-at-home mom, especially as work-at-home moms with toddlers, because we are wrapping up this season that's all about the work and wiggles, working at home with toddlers, the crazy life of trying to incorporate these tiny little people who need a lot of attention into your work-at-home life. I have been doing this for about 7 years in some capacity, whether it's because I've had my kids with me in my office or because I have my office at home with my kids. I've worked in several different capacities, and I'm going on adding my 5th kid into all of this. So lest you think my life is perfectly controlled, it's a lot of insanity all the time. But I think that's what makes me somewhat qualified to at least share my experience and talk to you about the realities of it and what makes it so beautiful and what makes it worth it. So my first tip is to embrace the chaos. The fact is, you're doing this because you like a little bit of chaos. I finally recognized one time in my life that I'm really just a chaos coordinator. I'm addicted to the chaos. I can't seem to avoid it. So I might as well just embrace it, figure out a way to work with it, and recognize that that's just who I am. Life is going to get chaotic because at some point somebody is going to spill their water and you're going to have to stop and clean it up. There's going to be an emergency happen within your business, whether there's a billing emergency. I mean, just this week my husband called me frantically with a billing emergency that we had to deal with right then. Obviously that coincided with also needing to walk out the door for a kid activity. That's how that kind of stuff goes. The chaos is just part of it. Finding ways to minimize the chaos is helpful, but also finding ways to just embrace it, keep your cool, and keep going is a must. When all else fails, I always remember the words of Rachel Jonkovic in her book, Loving the Little Years, which I highly recommend. She says that if you feel like you are going to have an absolute breakdown and start crying and you're not going to be able to do it anymore, set the clock for 25 minutes. Hustle in, get in, work hard, and just dedicate yourself to the work for 25 minutes. Whether that's responding to the emails, whether that's calling somebody back, whether it's changing a diaper, whether it's throwing snacks at people because they're hungry and you were not prepared for snack time, even though it comes around at the same time every day. Dedicate yourself hardcore to that work for 25 minutes. Just give yourself 25 minutes. And at the end of the 25 minutes, if you really still want to cry, then go for it. Otherwise, you might find that after 25 minutes of really just dedicating yourself to the work, keeping your cool, and working hard, you might actually find that it's not as bad as you thought it was, or you've kind of worked yourself through the anxiety of the moment. Either way, having that 25 minutes can really make a big difference, and it saved me many a time. Although, let's be real, sometimes I still sit down and cry well before the timer. But it's nice to keep that one in mind. Okay, tip number 2 is finding ways to prioritize self-care. Now, I feel like I always give this tangent because sometimes there's something about self-care that really irks me. But as a busy work-at-home mom, it is important that you're staying on top of taking care of yourself because you've got a lot going on. So whether that means that you are buying yourself some really nice high-quality electrolytes to put in your water to keep fueling you with energy to keep going, whether that means that you're making sure that you're drinking an appropriate amount of water every day, whether that means that you have to set a timer and eat the 3 square meals a day, because I tend to forget about eating. I know that's not something everybody does, but I do. I forget about it and I just keep going, and then I'm hungry and hangry, and it starts a whole new cycle. So if you can just find some basic ways as a busy work-at-home mom to keep on top of the really important things that keep you going, it's a must. It's a must. Your life is too busy to allow you to get to 5 o'clock and realize that you forgot to eat, or that you didn't drink, or that it's been a couple hours since you've gone to the bathroom because you got so busy and you forgot. You've got to try to find ways to remember it. And if you can stack on a few little fun things along the way, it makes life feel a lot more pleasurable and a lot less rushed. So whether that is Friday night bath night that you are eagerly pushing towards and waiting for, even if it takes you the 7 whole days to get there, or if it is setting aside time every evening to grab your favorite snacks and watch one show before you force yourself to go to bed, or you stay up binging it all night because you have no self-control and you are addicted to the quiet time. Finding those moments for self-care and investing in yourself can be helpful. Now, that doesn't mean that you get to go on being a martyr if you have to skip your bath night one night, or it doesn't mean that you get to walk around the house throwing a tantrum because you didn't get to make your coffee at the exact same time you wanted to. But it does mean that taking care of yourself is important, and it allows you to help take care of the people around you. So don't be a martyr, but don't be a diva either. Find somewhere right in between the rails. Okay, and tip number 3 is the one that I struggle with the most, and I'm not very good at it, but it's to get organized. There have been so many seasons in my life where I have realized that my lack of organization is really not only holding me back, but completely causing my life to be 5,000 times more stressful than it needed to be. It is a big struggle for me to get organized. So when I say that, I'm not saying it flippantly, and I'm not saying it because I mastered it. I'm saying it because I remember even being in high school, binge cleaning my room and then still ending up living in piles because I can't seem to get it together. But as a busy work at home mom, I have recognized the value of getting organized. So do what you need to do. I'm currently in the middle of a really amazing book by Dana White that has been phenomenal. She's got a whole series of books, so I highly recommend that you check them out. She just has a really fun, nonchalant way of telling you like it is and making things feel a lot more basic instead of complicated. So I have made some great strides in my home since listening to her book and since taking some of her ideas into practice. And I hope that it helps you as well, because the more organized your home is, the more efficient it will run, and the less you have to stop what you're doing to go take something away from the baby who is now tall enough to reach things off of your messy countertops. Yeah. That's kind of a thing. Okay, there you have it. 3 really quick nuggets of wisdom from a veteran 7-year work-at-home mom. Makes me feel super old even saying that. But I hope that these were helpful for you. I hope that it doesn't scare you off to think that being a work-at-home mom is hard, and it's beautiful, and it's wonderful, and it's crazy, and it's chaotic, and it's all of the things all jumbled up into one, which is what makes life so incredible, and it makes life worth living. So I hope that these tips are able to help you as you navigate this wild and wonderful journey of being a work-at-home mom with toddlers. Thank you for tuning in. Keep on hustling, embrace the chaos, and until next time, bye.